Hi, JamesAnimalHarrison. It's time for Thursday Thoughts. And today we're going to talk about a drummer, another drummer that's a favorite of mine. And it's Carl Palmer from Emerson, Palmer, also later Asia. Carl Palmer is one of those guys that seems to have like jazz hands in that old school rudimental type of vein, and applied it to rock music. And of course, we all know Emerson, Palmer kind of took a left turn with their music and did a lot of classical tunes applied to rock, or obviously Lucky Man was a big hit for them. That was just kind of a basic, almost seems like a folk tune. But if you're familiar with Emerson, Palmer, you know they've got some crazy stuff out there. They did an entire album of pictures at an exhibition. They did the Carnival #9, and of course Carl Palmer had that reputation and stuff for tremendous drum solo. And if you've ever seen him do a drum solo, he's quite animated and does a lot of tricks with stick tossing and behind his back while he's doing things and whatnot. But his hands were just super. I mean, he, Buddy Rich type of hands, like that old school rudimental stuff that you would see him switch from match to traditional and do all kinds of the old school jazz licks in his solos mixed with the rock and whatnot. But there was a concert that was on MTV back in the 80s that it was actually Asia, and it had I believe it was Greg Lake had replaced John Wetton, who had left the band at that time, as the singer. And I mean, he did a good job of trying to cover it, but it wasn't quite the energy that John Wetton sang with. But it was Steve Howe and Jeff Downs and Carl Palmer. And when Carl Palmer got to do his drum solo, it basically brought that type of drum solo to a near era of people, and they got to see the things that he had done in the 70s and whatnot. If you hear dogs barking, we've got dogs here. And, he would take off his shirt and hit the gongs and stuff like that. Very, very animated, very visual drum solo. But at the same time, he didn't rely on the visual part of it, because he had the chops to pull off all kinds of other things. If you look on YouTube, you see all kinds of little videos of him. He's got a signature snare out by Ludwig, of which I have one, that he demos and does a lot of the jazz type, hand stuff on there. So he was a unique drummer. I say was. He is a unique drummer. I saw them a few years ago. Asia was opening up for Journey, and so I got to see Carl Palmer and Steve Smith in the same evening. But two of my favorites, definitely Steve Smith. But Carl Palmer, like I said, I didn't get to see him when I was young, but it was good to see him live. And obviously through the YouTube, there's all kinds of stuff out there. And again, some of the rock theatrics that you've seen with Motley Crue and Neil Peart with the stage spinning, it seems like Carl Palmer did all that first. But anyway, all that being said, he had a unique feel with his rock music. He kind of played on the front edge of things, as opposed to the 80s stuff where everything was pulled way back. He kind of had that front push to everything he's doing. I'm not going to say he was rushing. I'm saying he was on the front edge of everything, coming from that 70s vibe, and also that little bit of that jazz pushing straight ahead type feel. He kind of had that in his rock playing, and you'll notice that the playing he did with Asia was much more laid back than it was with Emerson, Palmer. But at the same time, you'll notice a little bit of a push and pull on certain songs. But anyway, was really great. Had a good sound, a good use of the concert toms at the time and whatnot. And I think at one time he had the heaviest drum set ever on tour, the way it was designed and whatnot. So definitely a unique individual, but definitely has some incredible hands and some incredible licks and whatnot, and worth checking out. So if you not familiar with Carl Palmer, check him out. His snare is great, and there's there's plenty of stuff of him demonstrating it and demoing, and you'll see drum solos of some pretty innovative things that he did. And anyway, today's drummer, Carl Palmer. Thanks.